Kent Hughes apparently called Samuel Montembeault to let him know, hey, don't worry about it, Casey DeSmith is not taking your spot. We'll be talking about what that means for the Habs going into next year. Plus, NHL.com ranked their top 7 wingers under 23, and 2 different Habs made the list. Finally, we're going to be talking about Logan Mailloux and what his former GM for the London Knights had to say about him, so stick around for this edition of Habs Digest. Jesse, let's get into this, but before we do, we're like 20 subscribers away from 7,000, and I'm sure there's at least 20 of you watching who haven't hit the button yet, so please do it now. Be the 7,000th sub for the channel. We'd really appreciate it. But let's just get into this. Kent Hughes calls Monty to tell him basically that he's starting this year, Jesse. A little bit, maybe not unexpected, but really nice of him to do. At the Pro-Am Gagné Bergeron today, Samuel Montembeault was reassured by Kent Hughes, and he'll start the season well and good for the Habs, despite the arrival of Casey DeSmith. And Montembeault was kind of asked while they're here in Quebec City, which I didn't know, but anyway, whatever, I should have gone to see if I could see him. But Kent was awesome for doing this. They said basically as soon as the trade was done, he spoke with my agent to tell him, hey, don't worry about it. He said it's awesome that Kent did that, and Montembeault actually has worked a bit with DeSmith in the past, but Jesse, it's just kind of an awesome thing. Like, just a good, relationship kind of thing between management and the players. When a trade like this happens, if you're Montembeault, you might be unsure of what's coming next, but for Kent Hughes to call Monty's agent right away to let him know, hey, don't worry about it, Monty is our guy going forward, that is just such an awesome thing to hear.
Yeah, Kent Hughes must value Samuel Montembeault quite a bit. That's quite a bit of respect, because we're not even sure if he's called Casey DeSmith yet.
Yeah,
after all this, I'm sure they've communicated, probably just not officially yet. But that's what's kind of funny, But you have to feel like this means a lot to Samuel Montembeault as well, because we have to remember, like, he's still very much a young goaltender, and he's been improving, and he might have a breakout year next year. And you can see it's very wise, very savvy from Kent Hughes to just kind of keep that good relationship. You don't want to be burning any bridges with this. But, I think the reason why he wanted to call is because obviously, like, the chatter gets even to the players themselves, like Guhle and even Savard. They were even kind of commenting on this, regarding Petrie and DeSmith a little bit. And they said, we're not quite sure what's going to happen either. We think there's probably a good likelihood, that there is a trade. We'd love to have, the veteran presence of Petrie a little bit more, but like, we wouldn't even be surprised ourselves. So I think that's what's really interesting to kind of see here. Like, in your opinion, Josh, like, do you feel like that we're going to keep 3 goalies going into next season?
Man, that's a question I've been asking myself since the day that the Casey DeSmith, Jeff Petrie trade happened, because it's tough, right? Because Casey DeSmith's a very tradable contract, and the Habs won't use any kind of salary retention on him no matter what. It's $2 million, but some contender might be willing to take him on. I don't know who yet. I don't know which team has the salary cap to make it work. But as for Jake Allen, again, if you're going to use your salary retention spots, because teams only have a limited number of those, remember, guys, you can't just say half retained here, half retained there. It doesn't work like that. And the Habs are looking to probably do half retained on Petrie if they can get a lot of like valuable assets back, maybe even a quarter retained. They're probably not looking to do that with Allen. So to answer your question, Jesse, it actually wouldn't surprise me if we had opening night with 3 goaltenders. Now, I don't think Allen and DeSmith would like that. I don't think at this stage in both of their careers, both over 30 years old, wanting to fight for the number 2 spot, I don't think that's ideal. I think Kent Hughes is going to try to find a move, but I don't think he's going to rush it just to get rid of one of the goalies. Now, again, having 3 is really not ideal. If there's an injury, hey, it's great. But especially if there's 3, Jesse, you got to think that's curtains for Cayden Primeau as well, at this point. So, I don't know. I think it wouldn't surprise me, but I think Kent Hughes probably going to try and move either Allen or DeSmith. What do you think?
I think it's a new trend in the NHL of having 3 goalies, and I feel like the Habs are really trying to be on the cuffs of this, and I feel like the analytics department might be pushing for it. Kent Hughes might have other plans if kind of a good offer kind of comes along, but I think we're going to start seeing this a little bit more, and maybe some of the reasons of why Kent Hughes did do this trade, of course, we're going to see, right? I think Kent Hughes is going to weigh all his options, but obviously having some flexibility in that department is always a plus.
That's true. The only thing I do worry about is, again, like if Allen and Smith get unhappy with both sharing like a backup role, you got to think that Jake Allen won't be upset at that kind of thing. He seems like a stand-up guy, but we don't know much about Casey DeSmith. I'm sure he's probably not going to be upset, but hey, we'll just have to wait and see. It's an interesting situation nonetheless. Topic 2 today. I want to get into this list. NHL.com has Caufield and Slafkovsky both in their top 7 wingers under 23. So they made a list of top 7. Well, they only had 7. They didn't list it top 7, but it's the best wingers in the NHL that are under 23 years of age. And number 1 is Brady Tkachuk. At number 2 is Andrei Svechnikov, not Evgeny. And number 3 is Cole Caufield. They say the rough start to his career is over, and now he's one of the most exciting scorers in the NHL. And they said that him and Slafkovsky are expected to be the driving forces for the offense as the Habs begin to accelerate their rebuild. But Jesse, at number 7, Juraj Slafkovsky. I mean, it's just awesome to see him here. They say the 19-year-old did not have the rookie season expected of a number 1 pick, but they say at 6'3", 238, his production will increase when he becomes the power forward that he's projected to be. Now, it's really refreshing to me because I think a lot of people, not just NHL media, but a lot of Habs fans too, are unnecessarily negative with Juraj Slafkovsky because as an 18-year-old who played his first ever pro season in North America, he got injured and didn't have the production we wanted. But to see NHL.com really rank him as one of the best wingers at his age, like already when he's, again, just 19, that to me speaks volumes, and it's, I don't know, it's just really, really cool to see it.
Yeah, Slav is our power forward of the future. Sorry, Josh Anderson. You got to make room. We got a big boy coming through, and it's so nice to see other people that just really see that elite potential that he has, and as well of Cole Caufield, right? I think this list kind of really gets it right in a lot of ways. It's so important not to just underwrite players. Many people, at 18 years of age, they're not even in the NHL, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're full well to still hold Slafkovsky in a very high regard. I think he's really going to torch it up next year. So, I mean, so nice to see our boys getting that love. Just
to kind of maybe a quick impromptu question. Do you think Caufield deserves to be over Andrei Svechnikov or Brady Tkachuk? In my mind, it's so hard. I feel like I want to say that it's kind of a fair placement, but just knowing what kind of potential he has, I think there's maybe an argument to move him up, maybe a spot. I find it tough to put him over Brady, but when it comes to excitement factor and like just pure goal scoring potential, man, I don't know. I think there's an argument to maybe move him up just a little bit.
Well, as we all know here on the channel, I'm a huge Caufield fan. I would say he's not above them yet, but he will be. By the time his career is done, we'll be able to say exactly. But Cole Caufield will be a better player than Brady Tkachuk and even Andrei Svechnikov, who have both in their own rights played, tremendously well for their own teams, right? But I think Cole Caufield, he's not quite there yet, but he absolutely will. His potential is definitely above that. We're talking about a potential, 50, 60 goal scorer, in Cole Caufield. Like his ceiling is much, much higher. Of course, these are very good players. They play, great brands of hockey in Tkachuk and Svechnikov. But I mean, I feel like Cole Caufield, he's just elite. He's on that other level in the future.
It'll just take us a season or two for everyone to realize fully healthy Caufield under the right coaching staff. It's going to be exciting. Final thing today, Jesse, just a little quick hitter at the end, like we usually do, but today is interesting. Now, this is actually from a couple days ago, but I actually just caught wind of this today. Logan Mailloux was compared to John Carlson. Now, I know John Carlson, maybe his career didn't end the way he maybe wished it would have, but he was an elite player in his day. But Grant McCagg was on the Tony Marinaro show, the Sick podcast, and they were kind of talking a bit, and Grant McCagg said that Logan Mailloux is his number 1 Habs prospect, which is kind of crazy, but hey, McCagg is really high on Mailloux. But he states that the London Knights GM, Mark Hunter, recently praised Mailloux, saying he was, in his opinion, the best blue line prospect to have come through the OHL system since John Carlson. And to say that is kind of insane when guys like Boqvist, Evan Bouchard, Ryan Merkley, Nikita Zadorov, Olli Mata all came through not only just the OHL, but also just in London. So the fact that Mark Hunter thinks that Mailloux has this much potential, like the ability to be, like a 20, 30 goal scorer as a defenseman, that is crazy and really, really high praise.
No, it's so true. He's just such a tremendously clutch player as well. But I feel like it's, we're starting to see signs of this already. But basically what Mark Hunter is saying in all this is that Logan Mailloux is elite, which is just tremendous to see that. We're kind of coming out of the woodwork right now with prospects that are just turning up their games at just tremendous time. 53 points last year, 25 goals, highest scoring, defenseman in the OHL last year. Like, yeah, when you start to look at the context, it's like these sort of claims definitely aren't too out of left field at all. So, I mean, it's amazing to see, right? Because these are some quality NHL defensemen, even some very young, prospects that have quite an amazing future as well, that he's above, But honestly, like, I think we can all see it. And he's just one of those players where his game is just going to translate so well to the NHL. There's just really no reason why not. He has those normal things to kind of work on, but he's a tremendously offensively gifted player. Obviously, he's physically gifted, and he's a clutch player as well, scoring, 24 points, in his last playoff run, so he's really kind of that full package right now. So, I mean, I'm starting to see that comparison, but that's big praise because John Carlson is an amazing player.
He really is. And I don't think the comparison's that crazy either. Like, it's kind of they kind of play similar brands of hockey, right? Right-hand shot defenseman with lots of offensive upside. Now, again, Mailloux's kind of biggest weakness right now is his awareness and a bit on defense, though he didn't look too bad in these summer games for the Habs. But we're going to see all of his strengths and weaknesses on display, I'm sure, this year in Laval, where he's going to have a great coaching staff, great teammates to work on his game with, a nice young team in Laval. So you got to think, again, the biggest issues in this game, a lot of them can be worked on very easily with Laval, within the Habs organization. So I'm super excited to see how it translates because, like you said, Jesse, you can't teach size, and the guy is gifted offensively. And those two things put together, rarely do those kind of skill sets not get you at least to an NHL defenseman spot. So we're really excited to monitor his progression over this season. But that'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 7,000. We'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.